Welcome back to Breakdown. JJ, December 23rd, Tuesday, we're going to talk SEC and Big Ten. But before we get there, well, we're going to, as part of it, tell me who won the weekend, last weekend.
SEC or the Big Ten?
Yes, sir.
Well, you could say that it was SEC since they actually were the only conference of the. Well, Oregon actually had wins. I was going to say that they were the only team to win multiple games because Oregon was the sole winner for the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. But the SEC also had some losses, as we saw Texas A&M go out. So I guess
they had 2 losses and 2 wins.
Yeah. Yep. So I guess with that in mind, you're going to have to say the Big Ten still has 3 teams left, and the SEC is down to 3. So I'm going to go with the Big Ten.
Okay.
What say you?
I say the SEC one because they got a little bit more money. It's all about the Benjamins.
Oh, okay. Well,
that's the American way.
The Big Ten pulls in a little bit more money, so I guess they need to.
We're just about the week now, the weekend. Okay, JJ. But before we talk playoffs, you want to do playoff now or you want to do it later?
Before we talk about playoffs, we can talk about what happened the previous week because there's no arguing who won the weekend the previous week.
We'll do a preview of last weekend.
Well, no, the weekend before this previous week was the Heisman Trophy.
Okay.
I just want to get that out of the way. We hadn't talked about it.
Who won that? I mean, let me guess now. Had to be a household name to win the Heisman Trophy, correct?
Well, he will be. He'll probably be the first pick.
Well, I mean, in order to win the Heisman Trophy, don't you have to be a household name?
Not every year. Not every year. It's different. Mark Ingram's here. I know. I remember having to explain to quite a few people who Mark Ingram was the year that Alabama got their first Heisman Trophy winner.
Well, to win the Heisman Trophy, don't you have to come from a football school?
Well, yeah.
USC, Notre Dame,
Indiana.
Michigan.
Indiana's a football school now.
Wait a minute,
they haven't been to a Final Four in 24 years.
Are you talking about the Bobby Knight Indiana school?
No, they ain't the Bobby Knight school. That's Kirk Cincinnati schools now.
They are.
He's the captain now.
So who won the Heisman?
That would be Fernando Mendoza, the redshirt sophomore transfer from Cal.
He's playing for?
He's playing for Indiana. He chose Indiana over Georgia because Georgia couldn't promise him a guaranteed starting spot. When he entered the transfer portal, Gunnar Stockton was was filling in for Carson Beck, injured Carson Beck, and he saw a pathway to playing time in Indiana, and thank God for him and for Indiana he did do that because it turned out to be the best decision for both him and the school.
Okay, JJ, he's a transfer, right?
He's a transfer. That seems to be the way it goes.
Talk about that a little bit for me.
Oh well, just like the last time a Heisman Trophy winner wasn't a transfer was Bryce Young, quarterback from Alabama, and before that, the last time a quarterback or a player won it and wasn't a transfer, it was his former teammate in Devontae Smith, wide receiver from Alabama. So back when Nick Saban used to get guys to stay around for a little bit, he was able to break the mold. But Joe Burrow won the Heisman. He was a transfer.
Transfers.
It goes all the way back to Cam Newton.
Yeah, transfers kind of rule football now, more so than recruiting classes.
You're 100% right.
Okay.
Guys want to play their first year as freshmen, and then after they get some good tape under the belt, I think that's when they want to, make the move from there.
So the Big Ten won the Heisman Trophy in Indiana, and their quarterback.
And Diego Pavia.
I was going to get to that.
Yeah.
the SEC. What did they come in?
Well, they came in second, but he did not handle that with grace in class.
Did you think? What did he do, and did it hurt him?
Well, I think what he did. He acted like Diego Pavia, which meant after he didn't win, he said, F the voters. He went to a club in Miami and said he deserved to win and. The funny thing is, a lot of the voters were, former Heisman Trophy winners because they get to vote.
Well, yeah, every former trophy winner gets to vote, but the majority of them are not former Heisman Trophy winners, though.
But they are included in the people that he was saying to forget, I guess. So he did not cover himself in glory in that.
Did he hurt himself?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's gonna have to I mean, that's gonna be a topic of conversation. I think he's exhausted at eligibility, so it'll be in Indianapolis when this will really come into play when he's at the combine and he's explaining what happened. But you know,
Will they drop him down in the draft?
I think the fact that he's 5'9" is gonna do most of the drop in.
Is he an NFL quarterback?
I think he's a backup for sure. I think he's like a backup for sure, like a Kyler Murray type, or but I wouldn't want. He can't see over the line, so
Okay.
no. You can't win from the pocket. You have to win from the pocket in the NFL.
Enough about this Heisman, JJ.
Enough about the Heisman.
Let's talk about our favorite Big Ten school.
Favorite bit.
Notre Dame.
Yeah, the school.
What's going on with Notre Dame and their scheduling issues?
Well, they don't have any scheduling issues. They just signed a high-profile Power 4 opponent that they'll be playing 2026, 2027. When it comes to religious institutions, if Notre Dame is the number one school you think of, I mean, the school that they're playing, BYU, has to be number two. So, I mean, I think this is a perfect opportunity for them. I mean, I think it's a great opportunity for them to...
So, what's up with the Big Ten dropping Notre Dame?
Big Ten didn't drop Notre Dame. USC dropped Notre Dame.
Oh. Where does USC play at?
USC now plays in the Big Ten.
Okay.
But the Big Ten, Notre Dame decided that they wanted to discontinue scheduling Michigan State long before.
No. But go ahead.
Long before that happened.
So what happened with the USC Notre Dame game?
USC has elected to not renew the rivalry that has been played every year since 1926, with the exception of 2020 COVID and 1945 World War II.
That goes back a long ways for non-conference teams to be playing each other.
Yeah, 99 years. It's not only is it non-conference teams. One time zone is Pacific, and the other one is
Central.
Just suburb.
Central
South Bend being a
Eastern?
suburb.
I'm not sure.
So it is Central. It's on the border with Central, with South Bend being a suburb of Chicago. But Notre Dame is New York City school too. So it also drew in quite a number of East Coast.
JJ, I don't know how my world will react to USC and Notre Dame not playing each other. I remember back when I was a kid and USC played Notre Dame. USC won. Davis, the running back, scored 6 touchdowns in that game, and the newspaper headline had 6 words in the headline. Those 6 words were Davis, 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 Davis. 6 times. I mean, I grew up on Notre Dame and USC, so what am I going to do now?
I mean, have to accept the reality of the transforming landscape. Army Navy used to be the game that had, that weekend all to its lonesome. Now you got multiple bowl games that are being played that day. This is the new reality, and everything is about the bottom dollar. And USC is trying to. I mean, I can't blame Lincoln Riley. He took USC. He left Oklahoma for USC when he realized Oklahoma was joining the SEC. He did not take Oklahoma. He did not sign up to play in the SEC, especially at a school like Oklahoma, which doesn't have. I mean, if we're facing it in-state recruiting, I mean, you have to go out of state to get talent at a school like Oklahoma. So, at least at a school like USC, you don't have to leave your backyard. I mean, if you can keep people in state.
And yet Oklahoma made it to the college playoff and USC hasn't. And actually Oklahoma had a 17-0 lead on Alabama last week and they blew it.
Yeah, I mean, okay. If USC had beaten Notre Dame, they would have made it to the playoff. I mean, they made it, but I wouldn't say that Oklahoma is a healthier program right now than USC. USC has the number 1 recruiting class in the country.
You mean you talking about future? You're talking about right now? In the future?
Yes.
Future. In the future.
And right now.
Now.
I think USC would beat Oklahoma if they played on neutral anyway. But I'll concede that Oklahoma has a slightly better season than USC, but I don't think that Oklahoma is in near as healthy of a situation program-wise as USC.
All I'm saying is, this is my own personal take. I think Lincoln Riley could have stayed at Oklahoma and done just as well as he did as he did at USC. That's my only take, and I might be wrong, and we will never know. The world will never know. But let's talk a little bit about. But you know what? Let's talk really quick about a coach at a school that's near and dear to my heart. He was a head coach for like about 7 games this year. Prior to that, he was the offensive coordinator at the University of Arkansas.
Prior to that, he was the head coach. Last time they won 11 games.
Yeah, I was pretty much talking about this season though. But yes, Bobby Petrino.
Yeah,
He's no longer the offensive coordinator at Arkansas. Neither the head coach. What's he up to these days?
Linking up with a friend of his that he has something in common with. Another friend that likes him young. He's going to be Bill Belichick's right-hand man. North Carolina really needed an overhaul of their offensive scheme. They were pretty bad, and the one thing that you can't say about Mike Petrino is that he can't call a good offense. So I think it'll be. I think there's some good coaches, but it's just interesting when you think about the way Mike Petrino's career trajectory ended in disgrace with him and a young girl, and then now he's going to UNC where.
Okay, still getting multiple chances to coach after being fired at Arkansas and then rehired by Arkansas. JJ, let's talk about another school who fired a coach.
Let's talk about them.
Let's talk about Michigan. They need a coach, man.
They do need a coach.
When they gonna get one, and who they gonna get?
That is a good question.
We went in depth about this in our last video.
Yeah, and the reason we haven't released another video was because we were waiting on Michigan to make a coaching hire. I thought it was going to happen sooner rather than later. They did have a top 10 recruiting class, and I would figure that they would want to have kept those recruits. But they struck out on some obvious candidates. They wanted Kalen DeBoer.
From Alabama.
They ended up winning against Oklahoma, and he's just going to be committed to the preparations for Alabama going forward right now. They wanted Kenny Dillingham from Arizona State. But he is a graduate of Arizona State, and he was born and raised in Phoenix.
Just got a new contract.
And he did get a new contract. So he made the decision to stay home and try to build that job into a power. So we'll see how he does there. So Michigan struck out with those two. Now Scuttlebutt, word on the street is Jeff Brohm is a target.
Washington.
From Louisville.
Oh gosh.
Jeff Brohm.
I'm thinking Jeff Fish.
Yeah, Jed Fish, for whatever reason, I heard that he's not in the running. Okay. I'm not sure why, but I know he was a former Michigan assistant, and maybe they just want to be done with anyone with ties to Michigan right now. But at least under the Harbaugh regime. But so Jeff Brohm from Louisville, they just beat Toledo in a bowl game, the Boca Raton Bowl, today. That's a name to think of, but that's another situation where he's a graduate of Louisville. He's at his alma mater, so it's going to take a lot to pull him out. But I do think that the ceiling is a little bit higher at Michigan. You can win a championship there, and unlike Arizona State, Louisville hasn't made the playoff recently. There's not a lot of proof of concept that you can do similar things in Louisville. So I think that's a good target. I also think that Kyle Whittingham, the guy that Utah's head man who stepped down, retired. He said actually stepped down. Because I specifically didn't want to use the word retire because the ESPN, when the article was released, he said that he does have intention on coaching again.
How old is he, JJ?
I don't know. He's somewhere in the 60s. I think 62-ish.
Okay.
But I do know he works out he is very disciplined and regimented, and I don't think that he has lost a step or energy in that respect. And he's a man of character and all of that, and he might be exactly what Michigan wants to succeed the Harbaugh era, which was riddled with. Hey, you got a championship, which honestly, you look at Florida, the way that things ended in Florida ended in a mess. Florida State, the way things ended there, kind of ended in a mess. Auburn, the way things ended there, kind of ended in a mess. But they got championships, and I think Michigan fans, just talking to the ones that I see at the office every day, I think they would take it, even with all the scandal that came along with the championship. But I think now they're ready to pivot away from that. And I think Kyle Whittingham is like a
When will Michigan feel this position? No later than when?
Well, they've already lost quite a few recruits to Virginia Tech, to Texas Tech. to different schools. So I would think that they would want to fill it sooner rather than later.
Agreed.
Jeff Brohm's game just ended, so whatever preparations he was doing with his team, it now frees him up. Similar to Matt Campbell with Iowa State. Yeah. He said he wouldn't negotiate during the season, but after the season ended, was when
Penn
State and him started talking. So I would not be surprised if Jeff Brohm was the coach of Michigan by the day after Christmas.
Okay. JJ, let's talk college football playoff.
Who do you think Michigan's going to pick?
I don't have a clue. I heard yesterday that Brian Kelly had contacted them to let them know that he was interested. But the question remains, is it reciprocal?
He just got fired from a job that Michigan thinks it's comparable to. I don't know.
Well, anyway.
And also,
I don't know who they're going to get. Whoever they get won't be their number one priority. I'll just put it like that.
It doesn't have to be. It has to be a good hire, though.
Okay. Let's talk college football playoff, JJ.
Let's do it.
There were 4 games over the weekend.
There were 4.
The first round. James Madison went to Oregon. What you think about that game?
It looked like James Madison wasn't going to cover, but, it was a 21-point spread. They got to 17. They pulled out the cover. Good for James Madison.
What you think about the game?
At the end of the day, James Madison was able to move the ball on Oregon. I don't think that they really struggled with that. They could not do a thing on defense. They were outclassed. They just didn't have the speed to keep up with Oregon on defense, and that was their issue. That was the exact same issue that Tulane had against Ole Miss. They just didn't have the speed to keep up with Ole Miss.
Well, since you mentioned Tulane and Ole Miss, they had played just earlier this year. This was the second time Tulane played Ole Miss, and pretty much a repeat of the first time.
Yeah, people were wondering what it was going to be like without Lane Kiffin, but they still had Trinidad Chambliss, they still had Kyle Lacey, they still had Charlie Weiss Jr. calling the plays.
Just for my own thinking, and I'm sure there are reasons, it probably would have been good if James Madison and Tulane could have played a play-in game to see which one of those teams would have played Notre Dame in the college playoff. But that's just my way of thinking. But I heard somewhere on a TV program that the reason Tulane and James Madison's in there is to satisfy an antitrust legislation or laws.
Oh, yeah.
Because, anyway, I don't know the details behind it, but I just heard that somewhere on the TV thing. But, JJ, let's go to another game in the playoff. Miami and Texas A&M. That's a very interesting game. My daddy, he loved baseball games that ended like 1-0. Well, this game didn't end 1-0. 10-3 was the final score. Miami won. How did you like the defensive aspect of the game?
It was the first college football playoff game that was 0-0 at halftime. The winds were swirling. That was the issue. It wasn't. Even sometimes you'll have bad winds, but as long as it's consistently going in one direction, you can adjust for that. The kickers couldn't adjust for it. The quarterbacks couldn't adjust for it. You saw it. Some passes they were thrown downfield. I remember Carson Beck threw this one pass downfield and it looked like it was on target, and then the wind just took it at the last minute. So, it was a very interesting game to watch, but it wasn't good.
What stood out for me was Miami's defense. I thought their defense was excellent.
Yeah, the defensive line was in the backfield all day. Texas A&M was, I can't remember if they were one of the finalists for the Joe Moore Award. I know Iowa
they were up
win
there.
that.
I don't know if they were up there. Their offensive line.
They paid a lot of money to that offensive line, and that offensive line performed against SEC competition all year. But Miami's defensive line is no joke. They're going to give Ohio State some issues.
Okay, we're going to get there a little later. Well, JJ, let's talk about the last game that we didn't talk about from last week, Alabama-Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma went up 17-0, and
did the better team win?
Oh yeah, Alabama absolutely was a better team.
It didn't look like it for most of the game to me.
The first half it didn't look like it until
the pick six.
But that's the thing that John Mateer will do. Oklahoma absolutely had opportunities to win. They had momentum. I think a couple plays go a different way. It would have a different result. But I think John Mateer, as good of a runner as he is, he has some real issues that he needs to clean up as a passer. He really struggles to see the field well and make the right reads. So I think, Alabama with Ty Simpson had a clear advantage at the quarterback position. I think Alabama's receivers were significantly better. I don't know. I mean, we can talk about Ryan Williams and his sophomore slump and how he's
Receiver
not
for Alabama.
Yeah, he's been passed by Brooks and Jeremy Bernard, but Alabama still has better weapons from the receiver position, and what they were able to do that they couldn't have done all season was they were able to run the ball. Alabama normally has struggled to run the ball, but they were able to do that in the second half against Oklahoma, and Oklahoma's calling card is their defense, and when they were unable to stop Alabama in the second half, I think that what do they have to hold their hand on?
Let's start talk about some games coming up New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Let's talk about the New Year's Eve game. Miami and Ohio State. The Cotton Bowl in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked at the spread yet. Everyone knows that Ohio State's going to be favored. How do you like that game?
I like that game. I like the way it matches up pretty well. I am not as impressed with Julian Sand as a lot of people are. I know he's been very accurate, but I don't think that I think Carson Beck I think there's no guarantee that Julian Sand will be the best quarterback on the field that day. And then when you look at the offensive line, defensive line, I fully expect Miami to have a superior offensive line and defensive line.
I was impressed with Indiana's defense when they played Ohio State. If Miami plays like Indiana, Ohio State they got a game on their hand.
Yeah. So what the thing that Miami doesn't have though is linebackers with the discipline and the two-way ability that Indiana has. Indiana has linebackers that can cover and can rush the passer and stop the run. And I think that was. I mean, they did all of those things. I mean, okay. They were living in the backfield. Ohio State couldn't generate a run. Julian Sand took 5 sacks?
I think it was.
So I think that Miami can replicate the sack numbers, but I don't know if they can stop the run to the same degree. I don't think they have the same amount of linebackers. And Indiana has a couple of defensive backs that are going to play on Sundays. Miami's going to have to really step up. I mean, because obviously Carnell Tate, Jeremiah Smith. I mean that wide receiver room. I mean, it speaks for itself. So.
Okay, let's talk about the Orange Bowl. Oregon at Texas Tech. Oregon offense looks dangerous.
Yeah, against James Madison. Let's see.
Okay.
Now Texas Tech's defense is for real. They're led by Rodriguez. Jacob Rodriguez, their linebacker, was the highest vote getter for any Heisman candidate that didn't play on the offensive side of the ball. Texas Tech's, their defense is legit. They have an SEC level defense when it comes to the money that they put in, the star ratings that they have. Oregon's offense versus Texas Tech's defense. I mean, it's going to be fireworks. I mean, Dante Moore, is he going to be the first quarterback pick? Is he going to go ahead of Fernando Mendoza? That's what a lot of people are talking about. So I'm very, very, very excited to see this game. I like Texas Tech, but it's hard for me to be objective because I am not a Dan Lanning guy at all. I'm not a Dan Lanning guy, so it's hard for me to be objective. But I'll be rooting for Texas Tech regardless. But I actually think that they're better than Oregon. What do you think?
You know what? I have not seen a lot of Texas Tech. I do know Texas Tech is the highest paid college football team this year. Last year, the highest paid team was Ohio State, and they won it all.
Well, from what we know of, I mean, we don't know how much Duke and all those private schools
and Notre Dame, how much they're paying. But from the public perspective, articles have said that Texas Tech pay their team the most. But you're right, we don't know. But I expect them to earn their money. Jay-Z, let's talk about Alabama, Indiana in the Rose Bowl. First time in my memory when the Rose Bowl didn't start at 5 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to start at 4 o'clock this year Eastern time.
Yeah, I mean, they're very, very interested in making sure that the sun is in a very specific part of the sky for the Rose Parade. So it was a major concession for them to change the time, but they were able to do it. Indiana opened up as a 5.5 point favorite, and I've seen a book somewhere where it's risen all the way up to a 7.5 point favorite. And I am not surprised at all. I've watched a lot of Indiana this year. I've watched a lot of Alabama this year. And I don't think there's a thing that Alabama can do with Indiana. I think Indiana's going to run away with it.
Okay. What about Ole Miss and Georgia in the Sugar Bowl?
Yeah, so Ole Miss almost beat Georgia. They had like a touchdown lead in the fourth quarter in Athens, earlier in the season before they ended up losing by 8. Georgia, this isn't technically a home game for them. It's
Correct.
New Orleans or whatever.
Right.
So
Mississippi is more like a home game for Mississippi.
well, yeah, but Georgia's fans travel. But this is gonna be the biggest game in the history of Mississippi
Ole
football.
Miss.
So this could really be. I mean, and the Ole Miss Rebels they have the nation's sympathy because of the way that Lane Kiffin handled everything. You have that narrative. You have I think the better quarterback, Trinidad Chambliss, I think is much better than Gunnar Stockton.
I agree.
You have the better QB. You have the fans on your side. I could absolutely see Ole Miss winning this game. I don't believe much of Georgia.
I've been saying it all year, and Georgia just keep winning. So should I change my mind?
I do think Georgia. I really think Ole Miss could win, but I think Georgia will win.
Okay, JJ. SEC has 3 teams left. Big Ten has 3 teams left. One from the ACC and one from the Big 12. I'm gonna ask you one question, then we're gonna get out of here. No, I'm gonna ask you 2 questions. Of the 3 SEC team, which one is more likely to lose? That's between Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia.
Yeah, I think between Alabama, Ole Miss, and Georgia, well, obviously someone's going to lose between Ole Miss and Georgia.
Exactly.
I do think that Alabama is the most likely to lose. I could see Ole Miss or Georgia winning. I cannot see Alabama beating Indiana.
Okay, now we got the 3 Big Ten teams: Oregon, Indiana, and Ohio State. Which one is more likely to lose?
More likely to lose.
Oregon against Texas Tech, Indiana against Alabama, and Ohio State against Miami.
Yeah, I mean, I think Texas Tech is the higher seed for a reason. And I think that's the only situation in which the Big Ten school is the lower seed. So I'm going to pick that as the one.
Oregon is more likely to lose among the Big Ten, and Alabama more likely to lose around the SEC. Okay. JJ, I think our work here is done for now.
For now. Our work is never done, Dad.
I know. You're right.
They're always playing football.
And basketball. Because next time we come around, maybe we'll talk a little basketball.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Big Ten is looking good.
Big Ten is looking good. They're looking like they might really challenge for a championship.
Okay.
SEC is not looking too bad. At least not Arkansas, and then Kentucky looks like they might have bounced back. But we'll see.
Well, WPS. Woo Pig Suey. What you got?
Detroit basketball. Let's go.
What about for Detroit football?
They out of it.
No, they're not. We out of here, though.